Hello class, welcome back. We're going to continue with the nervous system part 2, And let us start here from last time. There are two parts of the nervous system. What are those two parts, two major parts of the nervous system? The central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Okay, I drew this last time, so you may not have to draw it again. So we have the peripheral nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system can be divided into two components. What's the first component? Sensory. The sensory component and the motor component. Sensory information takes information to the spinal cord and to the brain. The motor component takes information from the brain and from the spinal cord outward. Okay? The sensory component can be further divided into two components. What is the name of the sensory component that takes information from the organs? Visceral. This is just a little review. And what is the name of the sensory component that takes information from anything that's not an organ? Smooth muscle, not smooth muscle, somatic. Very good. Okay, and again, all of this should make sense. And if we go over to the motor component, the motor component has two parts. And just going to cut right to the chase. That's going to be the visceral component, which takes information to our organs, to our smooth muscle. And then we're going to have a somatic component, which is non-smooth muscle. Okay, so let's look at all of these. So the peripheral nervous system has a sensory component, sensory component and a motor component. Now, let's just look at the motor portion. The motor component has a visceral part and a somatic part. The visceral motor part of the peripheral nervous system has its own special name. What is that special name? The autonomic nervous system. Very good. So I'm going to put that here because that's very important. We're going to put that right under here. This is also known as the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Now, the autonomic nervous system is the only one that changes. All the others stay the same all the time. The autonomic nervous system changes depending on the situation. The autonomic nervous system can be divided into two outputs. You can have two outputs coming from the autonomic nervous system. Now, this is the one that goes to your smooth muscles or your organs. Okay, I don't know if I want to do this yet. I want to explain something to you first. So before we write anything else, I need to explain or give you a scenario. Okay, now this is a scenario. Think about this. What if someone puts you, and whenever we're talking about the autonomic nervous system, you don't need to think of turning something on or turning something off. You need to think about this scenario, because if you're just thinking about activating something or deactivating something, you're going to always get them wrong. Think about this scenario. There are two conditions that you can deal with in life. You can have stressful conditions, which you have to fight against something or flee against a stressful situation. So you have stressful situations, and then you have comfortable situations. To make this contrast, I'm going to explain to you a stressful situation scenario. So imagine this. Imagine that you were walking home one night. You're walking home one night. And you see a dog, a big vicious dog, and that dog is after you. That dog wants to bite you and hurt you. You can do one of two things with this dog. You could either fight the dog, and hopefully he'll run away and leave you alone, or you can run away from the dog. But in either case, in either one of those situations, your body has to be prepared to deal with that stressful situation. That's going to be our typical stressful situation that we'll deal with. It doesn't always have to be that situation. Let's say you have to give a seminar and you're nervous about that. Your body's going to become your body's going to prepare for that situation in the same way that it would if you were faced with a vicious dog that wants to kill you. Does that make sense so far? Now, before I give you the names of these two different autonomic responses, we're going to look at what happens in the body, those mechanisms that take place to help your body deal with those stressful situations. So let's do that now. They're going to be about 6 of them. I didn't bring my notes, but I think I remember them. So I think we'll be okay. Okay, let us get to this. Okay, let's go back out. Okay, we're going to have ourselves. Okay, you don't have to draw this, but it just helps you to remember some things. Okay, this is the dog. This is the dog that's going to attack you. Okay, again, you don't have to, it doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. And that's you trying to get away from the dog. Okay, now, there are going to be some responses in your body that are going to occur to help you deal with this situation. And let's just talk about each of them. The first one won't make a lot of sense to you, but let's talk about it first. The first thing that's going to happen, normally, the hair on your let's do the hair on your head. Let's say this person has brown hair. The hair on your head normally is just lying down. This is the normal situation. And we'll talk about the whyness first. And so your hair is going to be lying down on your head, but not my hair. My hair won't do that, of course, because I don't have any. But what's going to happen when you're faced with a stressful situation? What's going to happen? Your hair is then going to stand up. And we're going to talk about the whyness of this in just a second. Your hair is going to stand up. Now, why does that happen? That's the first response. That's the first stressful response that your body produces. So let's look at this and see what's going on. Okay. Let's make ourselves a new one here and get rid of that. That's the one we want to get rid of. Okay. In your skin, okay, I'm going to just draw some skin here. I think you all remember what the model of the skin looks like. Who in here has not taken anatomy? Okay, you haven't taken anatomy, but that's okay. All the things I need you to know, I'll explain them to you. In your skin, you have a muscle. Okay, here's going to be your hair follicle here. Going to make ourselves a little hair follicle. Okay, there's a hair follicle. And again, I'm going to take my time on this because it's some things you really need to understand. Because if you don't get this, you won't understand chapter 32 when you get to it. That's the very last chapter in your textbook, but you need to understand that. Okay, here we have ourselves a hair follicle. Okay, I'm going to just shade my hair follicle here. I don't know. Did something wrong there. I need to do this. Okay, here we are. Okay, there's our hair follicle. Now, within the hair follicle, going to have, wow, I'm not doing good today, y'all. I apologize. It's been a while, but now I'm back on track now. Okay. Within the hair follicle, of course, you have your hair. Let's give this person brown hair here. There's our hair in the hair follicle. Now, the hair follicle is slanted. It's slanted. But within the hair follicle, or attached to the hair follicle, there's a muscle. There's a big muscle here. Let's make this smaller. There's a muscle that's attached to this hair follicle. And so the hair, you have to think about it this way. The hair follicle itself is slanted. But then there's a muscle attached to that hair follicle, and it pulls that hair follicle. It pulls the bottom of that hair follicle, and it stands the hair up. Does that make sense? It stands the hair up. And that muscle, let's give you the name of the muscle, and then we're going to talk about the whyness of this. That muscle is called a pilorector muscle. Does anybody remember that from A&P? Excellent. That's called a pilorector muscle. And so whenever you're faced with a very stressful situation, your hair is going to stand up all over your body. Now, I have a question for you all. Why? How is that going to help you deal with a stressful situation? Anyone? Yes. Exactly. He said it's a defense mechanism to make you look bigger. Whenever animals fight against one another, like if a dog fights against another dog, this is an early evolutionary response, their hair would stand up and it'll make them look bigger in hopes that he will frighten the other animal and scare the other animal away. We still do that. If we're faced with a stressful situation, our pilorector muscle will contract to stand our hair up. Okay? Make sense? It needs to be rational for you to remember it. Is that rational? Okay, very good. So that is our very first response. Okay, excellent, excellent. I think you all got that one. Okay, let's go to the next stressful situation response. Okay, let's go back. Let's see here. I got to find that one. Okay. I'm going to have to make a whole new drawing. This is going to be easy if I just do another drawing. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Which one do I want to do next? Okay. Normally, I'm going to draw here. Normally your eyes, this is going to be an eye, and let's give this person blue eyes. Okay, I'm going to draw this. We'll draw this right here. I want to give the person blue eyes. I'm going to draw this part of the eye. Let's see how much you all remember. Okay, there's the eyeball. Okay, let's look and see if we can remember these parts of the eye. First, what is this blue part of the eye? Exactly. That blue part of the eye is the iris. And what is this hole in the eye called? The pupil. Very good. So let's look at our second response. No, remember our scenario. You're walking home in the dark. Then this dog approaches you. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to your pupil? Do you think it's going to get your pupil? Do you think your pupil is going to get larger, or you think it's going to get smaller? Exactly. I don't know how y'all know that. Why would it get larger? What's the rationale? Exactly. Your pupil is going to relax so that you can allow more light. Your pupil is going to get larger. Exactly. And so what's going to happen in a stressful situation, you're going to end up with a dilated pupil. And so the second response is pupillary dilation. Now, the question, what's the rationale? Why do you need to let more light in? Exactly, so you can see better. Very good. Makes sense so far? That's the second stressful response. I know you don't see the biochemistry yet, but we're going to talk about the biochemistry and how it connects all of this together very soon. Okay, let's look at the third response. Okay. The third response. In your eye again. Let's make it. What's a good color for? You have this. It's almost looks like a piece of glass, but it refracts your light. It's a biconvex. It's a biconvex disc that light passes through. Okay. Does anybody remember the name of this? The lens. This is the lens, exactly. Okay. Now, this is what it looks like during normal situation. And so if the lens is globular or fat, that allows you to see. Well, I'll ask you all. This is the normal situation. But when you're faced with a stressful situation, your lens is going to assume this shape. It's going to become thinner. Okay. Now, before we talk about the rationale, what is the difference between a thick lens and a thin lens? How are they different? What does a thick lens do? What does a thick lens allow you to see? And what does a thin lens allow you to see? Right, it does refract the light, but how are they different? Which one allows you? One, I'll tell you this. One of these lenses allows you to see things that are close, and one allows you to see things that are far away. Which one allows you to see things that are close? The thicker one. The thick lens is for nearsightedness. So if a person is nearsighted, that means they can see things that are close. And if a person that's farsighted, they can see things that are far away. And if you're both nearsighted and farsighted, you have normal vision. And so this is for far away. I'll just put far here. And so when you're faced with a dog or a stressful situation, your lens starts out very thick. But when you're faced with a stressful situation, it becomes very thin. Very thin. Now, why? What's the rationale? Why do you need a thin lens if you're faced with a vicious dog? No. Who said it? Exactly. To escape, so you can see how to get away. You can see far away. You can see the options of ways to get away from that dog. Does that make sense? Okay. And so here, you want to be able to escape. Okay? And that's the third stressful response that your body does automatically. You don't have to tell your lens become thinner, or your pupil become larger, or hair stand up. That happens automatically. That's why it's part of the autonomic nervous system. Make sense? Okay, very good. Let's look at the fourth response. I can tell I'm forgetting. Oh, I think I remember them all. Let's look at the fourth response. Now, the fourth response, let's see. Here we are. I'm going to draw an organ here. Let's see here if you all can figure out what this organ is. We'll use this color. Let's see here. Okay, and oh wow, that's awful. Okay, that's a pretty good representation. I think I put too much detail on this, but that's okay. Okay, anybody have any idea what that organ is? Wow, must be really bad. That's a heart. I guess I should put this over here. Oh, that's just the two halves of the heart. I'm sorry. I guess I connected them together. Okay. Now, the heart, you have your circulatory system, your circulation coming from your heart. Well, I should do it this way. Okay, your circulation coming from your heart and going back to your heart. Okay. Now, let's look at this here. You're going to have blood vessels that supply different organs. And right now, I'm going to draw them all the same size. I'm just going to draw 4 blood vessels. 1, 2, 3, we could do a lot of organs, and 4. Your drawings aren't really that important right now. It's your understanding. That's what's important here, is you understand the wideness of things. Okay, let's look at our very first organ. Okay, let's look at this one, this organ here. Okay, the stomach. When you're faced, and now these blood vessels are supplying blood and nutrients. This first blood vessel here, I put a 1 over it. It's supplying blood and nutrients to the stomach. If you just think rationally, when you're faced with a stressful situation, do you want to give more of your blood and nutrients to your stomach or less blood and nutrients? Less, exactly, because if you're faced with a dog or a stressful situation, that's not the time to be digesting food. Does that rationale make sense? Excellent. So what's going to happen in this situation, you're not going to have this, but the blood vessel is going to become, it's going to constrict to give less of that blood and oxygen to the stomach. Make sense? Excellent, excellent. Let's look at another organ here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, have any idea what that organ is? I don't know. The kidney, exactly. Very good. The kidney. Now, what is your kidney? What is the function of the kidney? What does the kidney do? It does one main thing. Filters the blood to produce urine. The kidneys produce urine. Now, if you're faced with a stressful situation, a dog is chasing you or you're fighting a dog, do you want to supply more blood and nutrients to the kidneys or less blood and nutrients to the kidneys? Less, because that's not the time to be producing urine. That's not going to help you to deal with that situation. Make sense? Excellent. Question? Exactly. That's a defect in the certain part of the peripheral nerve. That does happen to people, but that's a pathological situation. Yes. Exactly. That's pathological. That shouldn't happen. Right. That's a pathological situation. Oh, let me say this. Now, the question was, so when people urinate on themselves when they're frightened, is that a default or a problem with the nervous system? And my answer was yes. I have to do that because you all won't know what the question was when you look at the video. Okay, very good question. So, this is not going to be the situation. So this is going to become smaller here. Let's do one more. Well, we're going to do 2 more. But let's just do this one first. Yes, all of this is part of the 4th response. This is vascular constriction and relaxation. I guess I should give them all titles. Yeah, let's do that. Let's call this one. We'll put 4 here. And I'll go back and number them all. Vascular constriction relaxation. Okay. Let's look at another one here. Now you all should know what this is now since I've already drawn it before today. Okay, what is that? Skin. Now, if you're faced with a stressful situation, should you give more blood and nutrients to your skin or less blood and nutrients to your skin? More. Who said it? More? Very good. Okay, why? Why more? Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Very good, very good. Anyone else? The answer was, oh, her response was more because so you can supply blood and nutrients to the glands of your skin. Okay. Okay. His response was it helps you to thicken your skin. Okay, okay. It supplies blood and nutrients to the pilorector muscle. Very good, very good. Any more reasons as to why you have more there, more blood and nutrients to the skin? Increases skin sensitivity. Is that what you said? Okay, very good, very good. Increases skin sensitivity. Any more responses? Okay, in actuality, you don't give more blood and nutrients to the skin. So we need to erase all of those reasons and come up with like 4 more or just one really good one. So actually, less blood and nutrients go to the skin. And it makes, when I say I give you the answer, it's kind of wow, of course. Now, exactly. Her response was, in case a dog bites you, you won't lose all of your blood and nutrients from a hemorrhage, from hemorrhaging. Does that make sense? Excellent, excellent. So, here, in this situation, the vasculature is going to constrict. And you're going to give less, you're going to supply less blood and nutrients to the skin. Okay. And let us look at the last vascular response. Okay, let's go with this color here. Let's do this one because they are. Let's see if y'all can figure out what this is. Anybody have any idea what that is? Very good. It's a muscle. Skeletal muscle, not a smooth muscle, but a skeletal muscle. Now, in the event that you are approached or challenged by a large, vicious dog, do you want to give more blood and nutrients to your skeletal muscles or less blood and nutrients? More. And I can tell you that's right. And the why should make sense. Why? So you can use your muscles to do what? To fight or flight. So you can either fight the dog or flee from the dog. Does it make sense? Does the rationale make sense? Excellent, excellent. So that's the 4th response. That's the 4th response. So let's just do a quick review. We have 4 responses so far. We only have 2 more to go. Of course, there are millions of them, but we're just going to do 4. The first one is going to be contraction of your pilorectal muscle. So we have these. We have this one here already. So I'm going to just number them. Just a little review. Why do you want your pilorectal muscle to contract? So your hair can stand up. Why? Makes you look bigger so you can scare the dog away, hopefully. Okay? The second one, let's see if I gave it a number. Pupillary dilation. This is number 2, pupillary dilation. Why do you want your pupils to dilate? So you can let more light in. Why? So you can see better in the dark. Very good. Okay, the third one is going to be a thinning of the lens. I'm going to have to put here 3. Thinning of Okay? Why? Why do you want your lens to become thinner? So you can see farther away. Why do you need to see far away? So you can know how to escape. Very good. And number 4, we have various vascular constrictions and relaxations. Basically, you want to take blood from all of that energy, that blood and that nutrient, all of those nutrients. You want to take all of those away from everything except your skeletal muscles. You want to give all of your resources to your skeletal muscles so they can fight that dog, or to your leg muscles so you can run away from that dog. Make sense? Okay, let's look at the next one. You all seem to be understanding this pretty well here. Let's look at, I'm forgetting one and I can't remember what it is. Oh well. But I can remember this one. I can only give you the ones I remember. I left my notes. Okay. Let's see if you know what this organ is. Exactly. Okay. We have our lungs, and in our lungs we have our bronchi. Okay. Now, in the lungs, our bronchi have a certain diameter. They have a certain diameter. You know, the bronchioles allow oxygen into your lungs. Make sense? Now, in the event that you are challenged by a dog, do you want those bronchial tubes to become larger, to expand, or do you want them to contract? You want them to expand. Exactly. Why? So you can get more air. That shouldn't take a lot. So 5 is going to be bronchiolar expansion. Okay, very good. And that's enough of them. I can't remember. There was one more that I cannot seem to remember, but that's okay. Now, think about this. Let's see, how should I say this? Let me give you the name of this response, a stressful response. There are 2 responses. One when you're under stressful situations, one when you're comfortable, when you're just resting and just digesting your food. So let's go back and name these 2 components of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, here we are. So there are 2 parts of the autonomic nervous system. One is when you're under stress, and the other is when you're relatively comfortable. Scientists give a common name to the situation when you're under stress. Does anybody remember what that common name is? Or that common phrase? Fight or flight. Fight or flight. And that's the stressful situation. And the other one, when you're pretty comfortable, when you're sitting in your house watching television, watching the Olympics. Does anybody remember what the phrase is for this one? Rest or digest. Exactly. Rest or digest. Okay. Now, there are scientific names for both of these. When you give a fight or flight response, the part of the autonomic nervous system that is responsible for this is the, anybody remember? Anybody remember yet? The sympathetic nervous system. That is a sympathetic response. So when you have to fight or flee a situation, or a stressful situation, your sympathetic nervous system is going to become activated. It's going to do all of these things to help you deal with that situation. And then if you're just resting and digesting, like right now, you aren't under stress. So what part of your autonomic nervous system is in control right now? The parasympathetic. Okay. And so those are our sympathetic responses that we talked about. I'm not going to talk about the parasympathetic ones because they're just the opposite. Make sense? Very good, very good. Any questions? Any questions about what we've discussed today? Does everything make sense? Very good, very good. We're going to stop there.